Hello everybody, FunshineX here. Welcome back to Scrap Mechanics. Today, we're going to go to college. We're going to do some digital gates. It's going to be fun. Alright, hope you guys have, know your ands and your ors and your nors and your xors and all that kind of stuff, but we're going to make it really easy and show you how to do every single gate, almost every single gate, in Scrap Mechanics. Now, why is this important? Well, once you know the basic gates, you can build a computer if you have enough time. So, just saying. All the stuff that's in Minecraft where they build the big computers, all done using gates, a bunch of gates. So here we go. We're starting with the very simplest. This one is known as the NOT gate or the inverter gate. And it's really simple. Basically, if the light is on, the output is off. If your input's on, your output's off. If your input is off, your output is on. All right, so we're assuming on the button green is your on, your one, your positive input. So right now, because the light is on, it's turning off the input. So easy one. It's very simple, but we're going to be reusing this in other gates, so it's kind of important to understand. All we're doing here is we're setting the on state of this bearing to be out of the way of the sensor, and then as soon as we flip the switch, the off state is in line of the sensor. So that's how you invert a signal. All right, the next one. This would be the OR gate. Now, the way the OR gate works is if either input is on or both of them are on, your output will be on. So the way I can show this demonstration here. So I've got two buttons, two inputs. If I turn one on, the output goes on. If I turn the other one on, the output goes on as well. And if you turn both of them on, it still goes on. So you can see how that works. We're just using some bearings here and rotating them 90 degrees in front of one sensor that detects both of these little block dials or something. I don't know what we want to call these, beams or something. So whenever either one of these gets in the way of this sensor, it'll turn on this sensor, which turn that guy on, the controller on, and spin the output. So that is your OR gate. Basically just allows you to detect if two switches on. Now this is important because normally, well, in Scrap Engineers, at least right now, you can only have one input into a controller. But what if I want either of these buttons to turn this controller on? Well, that's when you use the OR gate. There you go. All right, the next one that we have is an AND gate. Now the way this one works is your output will only turn on if both of your inputs are on. So I can turn one of my buttons on, nothing happens. If I turn the other one on, nothing happens. But as soon as I turn them both on, then we get the output. There's probably multiple ways to implement this one, but all I did was chained together in series some 90-degree turns. So the first one, the A input, turns it 90 degrees, and then there's an elbow here on this block. The main block is shaped like it goes over to and then down and like this. So that's your main block, and then your second one's like with a bearing like this. Oops, no. So there's two separate parts of this arm, kind of with an elbow or a shoulder in the middle, just like that. Oops. Getting rid of the platform. That's not good. So as you can see, the first one turns it a full 90 degrees, but it's still not in the way of the sensor to detect. The second one will turn it the rest of the way, and now it is able to detect. If you wanted more than two inputs, you probably could. You probably just need to move like the first one like 30 degrees, the second one 30 degrees, or maybe 60, 60, and 60, so it equaled 180, something like that. Or because I'm flipping it a full 180 to detect the sensor. So there's your AND gate. Usefulness of this one is if you want two inputs to one controller, but you only want the controller to turn on if both of your inputs are on. So that's pretty good there. Now your next one here, we're starting to get more complex. We get more complex as we go. This one is a NAND gate. And basically what it means, it's the opposite of an AND. And so you can see what I've done is I've combined an AND gate with a NOT gate or an inverter. So we get the opposite output and we get an AND, which means if any signal is on, we turn off. Give it a sec. Oh, maybe they both have to be on to turn it off. That's it. Sorry. I told you wrong there. So I was thinking NOR. With a Nand gate, both signals have to be on for your output to turn off. So again, a practical use, this one would be if you want 2 inputs to turn on your controller, but if 2 outcomes are positive, then you want it to turn off. So this could be in some kind of a game where you say you have to solve one thing, solve one kind of game, and solve another, and if you do that, then you can turn something off, open a door or something like that. Pretty cool. All right, this one is the NOR gate. So as the name suggests, it is the opposite of an OR gate. And as such, I've combined an OR gate with an inverter or a NOT gate. So you can see this one, if we turn any signal off, actually if we turn both signals off, then that turns on. But any signal turning on will turn the signal off. Now, NOR gates are used commonly in circuits. There's a lot of practical use of them. When you want to turn, stop something from operating, maybe like your rocket boosters, if either of these turn on, like, oh, there's an emergency system, turn it off. Or you're not in the car, turn it off. Something like that. So you want to compare a number of conditions. All right, guys, and here's the last one. Here's the most complicated, but it's probably the most useful. And this is called the XOR, the exclusive OR gate. What this is this says I want my output to be on only if one of the inputs is on. So that means if I turn both of them off, it'll turn off. Or if I turn both of them on, it'll turn off. This is what your most light switches in your home use. And so this could be easily used in scrap mechanics if you're building a base and you wanted to have a button on one side of the door and a button on the other side of the door, and to have them, either switch be able to open the door no matter what state the other one is in. So let's say right now our door is closed. We can open it and it will turn on. But then let's say we go through the house and we want to hit this other switch to turn it off. Or close the door. All right, now the door is closed. Now we want to go back outside, so we open the door. And now it's opening or whatever, just pretend that's a door opening. And then we're outside, we want to turn it off. Cool. Now there's a couple more gates. There is one that's called an exclusive NOR gate, or an XNOR. And all that one is you take the output of this one and you invert it. So that would be just, really easy to show. And that one, it works almost the exact same. It just means they have to both be on or both be off for your output to go on. All right, guys, I have one more for you. This is called a Pulse Lengthener. Now, normally, if you have a door that you want to open and you have a button to that door and you hit the button, it doesn't stay open long enough for you to really run through. Maybe if you held it down a long way and then ran fast, no. So I've tried to come up with a few ways to add a pulse lengthener to a button so that when you push the button, your output will stay on for a longer amount of time. All right, so this is my first attempt at the pulse lengthener. I'll show you the better one in a minute, but it uses a rocket and gravity to open the door, basically. So all I have to do is give this button a little push. My door will stay open and then close. Kind of bounces sometimes, but you can see I only have to push the button for a little bit. It'll open the door and I can get through comfortably. Much better than before. This is a one-way door. Anyway, it was proof concept. It was okay, but I didn't like it, and I went and built another one. This one took a while. What we have here, this is an OR gate. It's very similar to mine, but this is one Zuma designed, and it uses the controllers as the actual arms that get in the way of the sensor. So it's very almost identical. Just he uses it more vertically and conserve space by using the actual controller as the boom. So it's really cool the way he set that up. And what I've got is I've got a button here. Actually, let's just demo it really quick. So here's the door. I push the button, opens it, and I can come through. It stays open for a very long time. That's what I love about this one. And then it closes. So how that works, I'm going to rewire it just quickly so you guys can see it better. Wire it to this button. That's not needed. That's just to fix a bug if this thing ever starts spinning out of control. But what this button does is when you trigger this button, you can see the schematic, it's going to lower the first arm of the OR gate, all right, and turn that sensor on. When that sensor turns on, it's going to trigger this controller, which spins this little funky shape, and I'll show you why it's this shape in a bit. This controller has an initial rotation of 45 degrees, and that's important because I can get this guy just almost detecting the sensor, but not quite. The sensor actually goes right through the middle here and doesn't see that block there. So that's perfect, 45 degrees. If I turn it just a tiny bit, that sensor will trip. All right. So that's to 45 degrees. I have a 0 here, and that's to initialize kind of a break, and that's what actually holds the door open for a really long time. And then I've got a 90-degree right turn here, or blue turn there. I've also got it set to loop mode. Now, you might not know this, but loop mode works pretty differently from normal just rotation. If I have this off, and you give a signal and you turn it on, it's going to execute the first step, the second step, the third step, the fourth step, and as soon as the signal turns off, it'll go reverse through every step to try and like reset you to the initial state. If you put loop mode on, it'll start its initial state, and as soon as you get an input, it'll execute this one, and then this one, and as soon as if you turn it off, it'll pause on whatever state it was, and then when you turn it on again, it'll go to the next one, the next one. That's not a huge deal here because it ignores anything at the end of the line that are set to 0 degrees. So all of these are ignored. So it doesn't really matter if I go 0, 90, 0, 90, or go 0, 90 to the beginning, 0, 90 to the beginning. But what it does enable me to do is this. There's another feature of the loop mode where if you turn a signal on and it only gets like, if it gets less than half of what it was trying to reach, 90 degrees, and you turn it off during that period, it'll go back to what it was at. And then if you turn it on long enough to get more than halfway, it'll finish going all the way to its endpoint. All right, and then stop. So I can take advantage of that. And here's how the theory of this: I can provide a small amount of input with my button to turn this OR gate on. That OR gate will start spinning this guy. And while he's spinning, I'm going to detect that he's spinning and turn the second arm of the OR gate on, which will keep him spinning until it goes 1/4 turn around, and then the detector would no longer see anything in the way and stop. That's kind of hard to explain, but you'll see in practicality, if I push this down, you'll see this guy's going to go down, and this will start spinning. This will detect it spinning, this one will go down, and it will keep spinning even though I'm no longer giving it input. So here we go. Push that down, it'll start spinning. You can see now it's detected. And it's still detecting because of this, the way this arm is built. And now it turns off, door closes, that lifts up. Isn't that awesome? So I only have to put it down for, let's see, 1, 2, 3 seconds, and it's open for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You almost get like twice the length as you held it down. And that makes sense. So you get twice as much time as you held it down for, it's open for. So I think that's gonna allow for a lot of really cool designs. This is not the most compact. I could probably make it smaller by stacking it. It's only needs to be one tall there, and putting the OR gate a lot closer. But we could potentially put this on some kind of ship and have it so that you can just push a button to open the door, like the cockpit of your ship, and you could get in, and then it would close it automatically. Wouldn't that be awesome? You just go in and you like get in the cockpit of your ship, and then it's like automatically closes. I don't know. The reason I like that is because sometimes you have a button on the inside of something and you want to turn it on, but you don't want to have to go turn it off again. You just want it to close automatically after you're through. So that's a good for use for this one. Guys, that's going to be it for this episode. If you like circuits and logic gates and all kind of stuff, hit that like button. If you want to see more Scrap Mechanic, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and I'll hope to see you in the next episode. Fun Chat X. Catch you later. Bye.